night doing kind of a post-Christmas, bringing in the New Year book haul. I didn't actually get a lot of books. Well, I didn't get any books for Christmas. But I solved that problem by doing Boxing Day shopping and some New Year shopping while the sales were on. I got from a variety of places. I've also included some books that people that watched what I called my incredibly terrible holiday vlog thing, whatever I called that. I have a few books I'm going to do through this haul just for people who didn't watch the vlog, and I don't blame you. I did a terrible job. But I'm going to just kind of go at random with the piles of books that I have around me that are just kind of slightly out of view. And I'm just all snugly in my pajamas right now because I decided to do this pretty late at night and I was just too lazy to get dressed and get all done up for it. I'm going to start with my most recent purchase. This was from Barnes & Noble. They had a big sale on recently, but these weren't on sale. They're just things I wanted. The first is The 7 or 8 Deaths of Stella Fortuna. It sounded really interesting. I kind of skimmed like the first paragraph of the synopsis online and thought it sounded pretty good. And I'm pretty sure this was the single half-price book that I purchased. And I'm really excited for it. Sounds like it's kind of a thriller fantasy thing. Yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I thought the cover was kind of pretty, and I thought I'd go with it. Looks like it'll be similar, but also different from what I typically read. And then I got the boxed set of, I think it's the first 4 books in Ginny B. Jones. Not sure if I'm going to read them now, but I definitely got them because they were some of my favorite books to read when I was learning to read growing up. And my parents loved them too, and I just have these really fond memories of sitting on the couch with them, reading before we're going to bed at night, and all of us, my sister, my parents, and I, just laughing uproariously at the things this girl was doing. I really recommend this series for people with new readers. Again, that was Ginny B. Jones by Barbara Park. Like, if you have new readers, really, really recommend this. And then the other one I got is actually a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. It is the Serafina series. I listened to Serafina and the Black Cloak as an audiobook earlier this year. This series I think is kind of like a middle grade to young end of young adult, and it's kind of like darkish fantasy. The main character in the Black one, Serafina and the Black Cloak, she finds out that these kids are missing from the manor she lives in, has had a bunch of kids go missing recently, and they don't know who's doing it, they don't know what's going on, but Serafina knows that this man in a black cloak is involved, and the book is about kind of her investigation into it, and it was just surprisingly good. I picked it up just as a kind of a quick listen, and I ended up really enjoying it, so I ended up getting the first 3 books for it. I'll next move on to the pile right in front. The 2 books on top I'm going to go over pretty quickly. I call these my bribery reads. These are books that I see that I think my fiance will enjoy. Like this one is The Physics of Superheroes, and the other one is Firefly, Big Damn Hero. It was written by someone who wasn't Joss Whedon, but a consulting editor was Joss Whedon, so it should be pretty close to the show. These are both things that my fiance really enjoys. He loves how the superhero universes work, and he loved Firefly, and I know he'll never be a reader, but when I need to nudge up my purchase to get free shipping, I look for books for him. And that's what these are. The next couple of books I have are a mixture of things. I have The Huntress by Kate Quinn. I got this at a secondhand store that has a used book section. I read The Alice Network by her last summer and adored it, so I'm really excited for this. I got Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. She's actually coming out with a new book this year that sounds really interesting. And then I really luckily got this in one of the 2 book subscriptions I have. This was the one that was the Willoughby Bespoke Book Club that I got this one in. I haven't picked any of these up yet, but I'm excited for them. And then Space Opera, same thing. I actually think the last book in this one were like my November, December books for these, but I can't remember for sure. And this one I've heard a lot about, and I've read other space opera style novels, so I'm really excited for it. And I hope it lives up kind of to the hype that I've heard surrounding it. I decided to make my reading year in this next little bit really hard. In my last book haul, I got Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks, and I got Priory of the Orange Tree by Shannon something. I can't remember. 2 big books. And then I went out and went to a secondhand bookstore in Edmonton when I was there with my sister, and I got Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is a hardy beast, let me tell you. It's got about 1,000 pages here, so this will be a slog. But I've heard if you like kind of dry British humor and low fantasy, it'd be a good read for you, and I enjoy both of those things, so I'm excited for it. My final purchases from that secondhand bookstore, which if you guys are ever in Edmonton, it's called We Book In. It is just this beautiful little shop, tons of books, really well organized. And the last 2 books I got from there were Lost in a Good Book and The Well of Lost Plots. They're the 2nd and 3rd books in the Thursday Next series. I did a Book of the Month review for the first one, which was, I can't even remember now. But it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I'll include a link above and below if you're interested in taking a look at it. She is a literary detective, so she kind of deals with literary-based crime, so like people trying to change original works, people falsifying works under authors' names. It was really interesting, and I was really excited to see where the world went, so I picked up the 2nd and 3rd books because they were a really good price at the bookstore I went to. All right, and I have 2 boxes and 2 piles of books over here that I'm going to go through as well. I'll go through this pile first. It's the one that I got at the secondhand bookstore in the city I live in, and I did it pretty recently, and these are the ones that were part of the vlog that I did, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. This is The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Le Guin. I've heard really good things about this book. I read The Dispossessed by her and was just blown away. I really enjoyed it, so I'm hoping similar vibes will be had here, and I know she's a phenomenal writer, so I'm not too concerned. I have Spin by Robert Charles Wilson. I'm pretty sure this is a book that Emily at Books with Emily Fox has read. It's kind of like a weird first contact book, I think. Anyways, she recommended it, and I'm looking to increase my sci-fi ratio a little bit, so I'll give it a shot. Then I have The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. I don't have the first book, but I've read the first book. I got it from the library. And I tried to pick up The Obelisk Gate as an audiobook, and I just was not vibing with the narrator, and I ended up putting it down because I was having problems, like really, really hard problems connecting with the characters again. And I adored the first book. I think I gave it like 4.5 out of 5. The final book that I got at the secondhand bookstore was this Let the Dead Speak. It's like mystery thriller. Sounds like it could be interesting. Female victim, female detective. So, you know, I can dig it. Oh, I guess this was my December book. I don't know when I got Space Opera and the other one then. Because I got this as my read for December from the Willoughby Bespoke Book Club, which I'd recommend. I really enjoyed the books that they've been sending me. This one is historical fiction. It is about like a lesbian relationship. These 2 girls go to the big city to recreate themselves so they can kind of live the life they want to live. But as I believe it's the Second World War kind of starts looming, they decide to break to America. And it's just kind of their lives going from building their new lives in Paris and then having to drop everything and build a new life again. I think it'll be really interesting. I haven't been reading as many LGBTQ plus kind of based characters or romances, so I'm hoping that this will be really well done. So I'm really excited about that one. And kind of World War II, pre-World War II, and World War I are all kind of like the 20 years I like reading the most in historical fiction. So I'm really excited. I have another pile of books here. These are from Book Outlet. I got a Sophie Kinsella book, Finding Audrey. Sophie Kinsella is one of the few kind of chick lit authors that I really enjoy. And I recently read My Not So Perfect Life, and I read a couple others by her that I really liked. So I'm hoping the trend will continue. Then I have The Gilded Wolves. I've heard pretty like mixed reviews about this, and I just picked it up because last year I read the short story The Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu, and then I found out Book Outlet had the short story compilation or anthology that it was a part of, and I picked it up, and guys, The Paper Menagerie was probably the single best short story I read or listened to last year, and I cannot recommend it enough. Ken Liu is an amazing author, and he writes these really deeply impactful short stories, and I can't recommend it enough. You guys need to read his stuff. The other book I have is Tess of the Road by Rachel Hartman. This is a fantasy. I see that there's books on the back, but I don't know if they're involved or not. I don't know if this is a sequel. I might have to go look for the original books. Anyways, I picked it up because I liked the cover. Another kind of young adult fantasy. Man, I have a lot of young adult fantasy in this pile. Holy dang. This one is Flame in the Mist by Renee Adier. I honestly don't know. I kind of feel like this was like a Mulan retelling, and I don't remember now. Again, nice cover. I like how there's a mixture of flowers and shurikens on it. Then I have A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This is, I think, the first. Yeah, this is the first installment in this series. I'm really excited to read it. I've heard pretty good things, and I've read other stuff by Victoria Schwab that I enjoyed quite a bit. This one I'm actually really excited about. It's called All the Ever Afters. It is kind of the Cinderella story and a little bit after the Cinderella story ends, but it's all from the view of the stepmother. I had this in my cart for so long, and I kept putting off getting it, and then I just decided to bite the bullet. And the more I read like the synopsis in the book and stuff, I got way more pumped to read it. I don't know why I haven't read it yet, other than I just got a shit ton of books. The final book in that pile is The Blood Rose Rebellion. I think this is a kind of low fantasy historical fiction book. It talks about British society and the Illuminati, and it could be kind of good. And again, I just really liked the cover. Again, those were all from Book Outlet. Then I have a box from Book Depository. These books from Book Depository are almost exclusively books that I got to help with my kind of 2020 reading challenge that Emily with Books with Emily Fox is reading. She reads kind of like the top couple books that were selected for the shortlist and the winners of the Goodread Awards. One of the ones I got for that was An Anonymous Girl. I think this is the mystery thriller. I've never read The Wife Between Us, but I really haven't read as many mystery thrillers as I usually like to in the last year, so hoping to expand there. I have Normal People by Sally Rooney. I think this is just kind of like fiction/literary fiction. The winner was actually The Testaments, which I already own, so although I haven't read it yet. So I decided to get this and kind of bulk out that category. And then the other two books that are in that kind of same book challenge are The Overdue Life of Amy Byler. I think it's kind of a nerdy reader-based story. And I recently read The Bookish Life of Nina Hill as well, and I really enjoyed that, so I'm hoping I get similar vibes. And then the other book I got was Exhalation by Ted Chiang. I read his short story compilation Arrival, and Other Stories. I just really liked them, so I got really pumped to read another short story compilation by him. So I think this is a short story compilation. So I'm really pumped for that, and this is a much better cover than the one I got for Arrival. The one I got for Arrival was one of those terrible movie covers. I got Every Heart a Doorway. It's the first book in the Wayward Children series. I've heard pretty mixed things about the series as a whole, but I've heard the first book is really good. The fourth book is practically a standalone, and the fifth book is reasonably good. So I'm hoping to collect those and kind of make my way through them. They're pretty quick reads. They're less than 200 pages. And then the last one I picked up is Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I picked this up, a lot of these are because of books with Emily Fox. But I picked this up because I remember her really talking about how much she enjoyed it, and I know it's a series with one or two extras in it, so that's kind of exciting. And again, I'm bulking out my science fiction a little bit. All right, wow, this video is way longer than I expected. And I have some thrift book purchases, and then I have another box from Book Outlet. So the first book from Thrift Books that I'm going to show you guys here is The Princess Bride by William Goldman. I don't care for the movie, and I know that is a very unpopular opinion, and I'm hoping that the book will change my mind. I actually have kind of like a fun little plan with my fiance regarding the book and the movie, so you might see him come into the videos with me when I get to this one. Also, that was a beautiful beautiful cover. I got The Book Thief by Markus Zuziak. I read this once upon a time. I haven't read it in a really long time. I love World War II historical fiction, and I really enjoyed the movie, so I'm excited to pick this book up. Then I have Bridge to Terabithia. This is probably my least favorite cover of it, but this is the cover I had as a kid growing up, and this was one of my favorite books when I was a kid. Kind of after I bridged out of like those Ginny B. Jones books I showed you earlier, this was one of the first books I read after that, and I fell in love with it, and I think that they did a pretty decent job with the movies, and man, I tear up like every time I read this. And then the final one I picked up from Thrift Books is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I know I've heard really interesting things. A lot of people really like it. A lot of people really don't. A lot of people who loved the first one don't care for the second one. And everybody's just waiting on the third, but now there's been like an actual kind of announcement for the publication date, so everybody's a little bit more excited. And because of that, I decided I should probably pick this up. And that's all I got. Well, actually, yeah, and that's all I got from Thrift Books. Now for my final pile from Book Outlet. And part of the reason I was buying so many books recently while I was getting stuff on sale is that my mother and I, and along with my grandmother, my sister, we've recently decided to start donating to some of our local transitions, shelters for women and children escaping bad situations. And one of the ways that we're contributing is to kind of donate throughout the year, but we're also trying to collect a bunch of stuff to give presents at Christmas. If this is something you guys can do in your own cities, I highly recommend it. There's a very nice sense of satisfaction from it, and when my grandma dropped the stuff off, she said that the people were absolutely gobsmacked just by what we were donating to these kids and these women. And it's really, even though I got a bunch for myself, at least half of my Book Outlet orders, both from this order and that I'm going to talk about now, and the one that I talked about at the beginning, at least half of those were books that I wanted to donate. They're just like fun kids books and picture books and kind of popular, easy reads that I think a lot of women readers might be interested in picking up. And if you guys have any suggestions actually for things like that, I would really love those suggestions. So with this last order, I'm going to start off with my idiot move first. I got A Modest Proposal. It's a short book. I've been trying to read more classics. It's something I kind of picked up from Murphy Napier. But what she probably didn't do that I did was pick up 2. I don't know how I managed to dumb that hard, but I dumbed that hard. And I even looked at my cart before I checked out, and I didn't notice. Next, I have these really, like, fun editions of these classics. I don't even know how to describe them. They're not even, it's not like they're felt, but they're not, like, leather either. But I got Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I got The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I think I have another copy of this somewhere on my shelf, but I like this copy more. I have The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. I picked up Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I read this years and years and years ago, but now that the movie's come out, I want to read it again. And then I got Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I actually quite enjoy the Bronte sisters. My favorite, I think, is The Tenant of Wildfeld Hall. Yeah, I just decided to pick up Wuthering Heights because my sister read it and hated it, and she and I have very different book tastes, and the fact that she hated it is promising for me. And then I got some more books that are considered, like, classics, but they're not in the same kind of, like, really nice covers. I have Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I've never read it, and I am rectifying the situation. I then have The Ghost Seer by Friedrich Schiller, translated from German. That's fun. Anyways, yeah, this is a classic. As per Book Outlet, I don't know really what it's about at all, so I'm going to be going in pretty blind. I really liked the cover. It's a common theme with books I buy. I have Confessions of an English Opium Eater by Thomas de Quincey. And this is kind of just a man's story about his laudanum addiction. Just kind of interesting. Again, classic author, written before 1900s. It's where I feel a lot of these books fall. And then I got this book. It's called 7 Viking Romances. Again, I know absolutely nothing about it, but I enjoy a lot of the Viking folklore that I've heard, and I think this will be like a really interesting combination of that and, well, on the back here, combines traditional myth, oral history, and reworked European legend. And I'm really excited about that. So my final 2 reads, finally, I know, right? I have 1,000,001 goddamn books. Is this graphic novel. It's called Pearl. This is the first volume. So Pearl is the main character. She is a Japanese American with albinism, and she is born into the world under the American Yakuza. She's working for the Yakuza, doing tattoos because that's kind of her talent. And things just kind of spin a little bit out of control, and the artwork looked really nice, and it sounded pretty interesting. So I'm gonna give it a shot. It was also one of the bribery reads that I got for my fiance, but this one actually sounds very interesting. I might dig into it first. And then the final one, The Test by Sylvain Neuvel. I believe he's a French-Canadian author. This is a short, very short, science fiction novel about the not-too-distant future. It's about a citizenship test and getting the chance to be a citizen. I've read the first book in the series that Sylvain Neuvel wrote. What was it called? It's about giant robots. I'm excited to read The Test. It's nice and short, and it looks like it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm now surrounded by books. I have my fuzzy bathrobe on. I'm sitting beside a heated blanket. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to be going to bed to read, and then probably going to sleep pretty shortly after that. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Sorry I was hella long-winded, and I had way more books than I thought, so I'm glad I did this now and didn't put it off any longer. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.